Have you ever wished you could just download a new skill? Kind of like in The Matrix, where you plug in and suddenly you know Kung Fu. Well, what if you could do that with cooking? Imagine you strap on a VR headset, spend a few hours in a virtual kitchen, and boom, you now know how to perfectly sear a steak or whip up some shakshuka. It sounds amazing, right? But beyond the fantasy, there's a really big, practical question we have to ask.
I mean, does the muscle memory you build in a game actually work when you're holding a real knife and standing in front of a real, very hot stove? That is the big question we are going to dig into today. So let's step into the virtual kitchen and see what's cooking.
And look, don't think this is some tiny niche corner of the gaming world. Oh no. A quick search on the MetaQuest store brings up a staggering 86 different games with the cooking tag. That's not just a hobby, that's a full-blown genre. And it offers everything from Michelin star-level simulations to just absolute chaotic food fights.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to take a tour of the most popular digital kitchens out there, from the super realistic to the totally wild. Then, we'll see how this tech is graduating from just gaming to professional gastronomy. After that, we'll give you our final verdict on what skills actually transfer from the headset to your hands. And finally, we'll ask that big question, what could be next?
Okay, first up, let's explore the virtual menu. You gotta understand, not all cooking games are created equal. Some of them genuinely want to teach you, some want to stress you out, and some just want you to have a good time with your friends. So let's take a look at 4 very distinct flavors of VR cooking.
So this table right here, it perfectly captures the incredible range we're talking about. On one end of the spectrum, you've got the intense realism of Cooking Simulator VR. Then, on the complete opposite end, you've got the frantic party fun of Cookout. And right in the middle, you have these cool educational titles like Lost Recipes and fast-paced arcade challenges like Clash of Chefs. Each one is trying to teach you something different, whether it's process and patience or just pure speed.
All right, let's start with the big one. Cooking Simulator VR. This isn't just a game, it is a meticulously crafted kitchen. I'm talking over 140 ingredients, and all of them react to temperature, slicing and dicing with really authentic physics. Every knob, every pan, every spatula, it's all interactive. You can actually watch the onions sizzle and change colors they cook in the pan. It's wild.
And this quote right here, it just gets to the heart of what makes this game so powerful. See, you don't just click on a potato and magically get fries. Nope. You have to find it, wash it, peel it, chop it, and then fry it, all while controlling the temperature. The game forces you to learn the actual process, and maybe more importantly, it teaches you patience. If you rush through a recipe in this game, just like in real life, you are going to burn your dinner. Now let's switch gears completely and talk about Lost Recipes. This game takes a totally different approach. It's not about the high-pressure vibe of a modern kitchen at all. Instead, it's this calm, educational journey through time. You get to cook dishes from ancient Greek, Chinese, and Mayan cultures, with a real focus on historical accuracy and technique. There are no timers, no angry customers, it's just you and the ingredients.
But you might be wondering, does this kind of relaxed learning actually work? Well, here's a perfect real-world example. A reviewer for a tech site learned how to make Chinese steamed fish entirely inside the game. That same evening, they went into their actual kitchen, followed the steps they just practiced in VR, and successfully recreated the dish. I mean, that is a powerful testament to direct skill transfer. It's proof it can happen.
Okay, let's turn up the heat a bit. Clash of Chefs VR pretty much throws realism right out the window in favor of pure, frantic arcade fun. This game is all about rhythm, speed, and multitasking. It's less about learning a specific recipe and way more about learning how to manage total chaos and just pump out orders as fast as you possibly can.
And this game really keeps you on your toes by throwing you into totally different culinary environments. One minute you're flipping burgers in a classic American diner, trying to manage the grill and the fryer at the same time. The next, you're assembling delicate sushi rolls in a Japanese kitchen. Each restaurant has its own unique mechanics and rhythm, forcing you to constantly adapt your strategy and your movements.
And finally, there's Cookout. This game is just pure collaborative chaos. You and up to 3 of your friends are working together in a magical forest, frantically making sandwiches for a whole cast of hungry fairy tale creatures. Here, the skill you're really learning isn't knife work, it's communication and teamwork, all under some serious pressure.
So we've seen the games, but what happens when this technology gets serious? Let's pivot away from just consumer entertainment and look at the world of professional culinary education. Because VR is starting to solve some very real-world problems. To really understand why this matters so much, just look at this stat from Hong Kong. A study found that over half the schools there lacked specialized cookery facilities.
I mean, think about that for a second. How on earth can you teach a hands-on skill without the hands-on space? For educators in that situation, VR isn't some fun novelty. It's an absolute necessity.
And this is already happening. Professional culinary schools like Vancouver Community College are already integrating VR modules right into their curriculum. They're using it to teach students the entry-level basics, like kitchen safety and food prep, before they ever set foot in a physical kitchen.
And the benefits here are just undeniable. You're giving students a space where they can practice with dangerous equipment, like sharp knives and deep fryers, in a completely safe, zero-consequence environment. You're eliminating the huge cost of food waste that comes from endless repetition. And maybe most importantly, these students are reporting that they feel way more confident and less anxious when they finally do step into a real kitchen. It really is the ultimate risk-free training ground.
Okay, so we've seen the games, and we've seen the professional applications. It is time to bring it all together and finally answer our central question. Can you actually learn to cook in virtual reality?
So here's the final verdict, and it's really a tale of two kitchens. On the one hand, VR is absolutely fantastic for teaching the process of cooking. You can master recipe sequencing, time management, and the visual flow of putting a dish together. It for sure builds confidence. But on the other hand, it just can't replicate the physical senses. You don't feel the true weight and resistance of a knife cutting through an onion, the intense, radiant heat coming off a flame, or, of course, the critical nuances of smell and taste that guide a real chef.
And that really leads us to the most important takeaway here. Virtual reality is an incredible complement to real-world cooking, but it is not a replacement. Think of it as the ultimate training simulator. It's a place to practice, to fail without any consequences, and to build a really deep understanding of the process before you ever light a real burner.
So where does all this leave us? Well, we've pretty much established that VR can be a really powerful learning tool for a complex, hands-on skill like cooking. And that, of course, leads to a much bigger question.
Think about it. If we can master a recipe in a virtual kitchen, why not practice changing a tire in a virtual garage? Or learn woodworking in a virtual workshop? Or maybe even assist in a virtual operating room? The potential for safe, repeatable, and accessible training across countless hands-on fields is truly immense. The virtual stove, it turns out, is just the appetizer. So my question to you is, what skill would you want to learn next?